Welcome to Barbecue Catering Smarts, the go-to podcast for barbecue operators looking to grow and streamline their catering operations. Every episode, we're serving up expert advice, proven systems, and flavorful strategies straight from top leaders in the barbecue and catering world. So fire up the pit. It's time for another sizzling episode.
Hello again, I'm Michael Attias, your host of Barbecue Catering Smarts, and today's guest is Kersten Grigg, owner of Big Daddy's Barbecue in Boise, Idaho. Over the past 2 decades, Kersten has helped grow Big Daddy's Barbecue into a thriving operation with 2 full-service restaurants and a strong catering business built around great food, exceptional service, and creating a seamless customer experience. From building customer loyalty to finding the balance between being available and creating urgency in the sales process, Kersten brings valuable real-world insights that every barbecue operator can learn from, and we're excited to have her on the show today. But before we get started, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsor, Caterzen Catering Software. They help barbecue restaurants turn their catering chaos into calm. Discover why barbecue restaurants trust Caterzen to save them time and increase catering sales. Go to caterzen.com and sign up for a walkthrough of the software. Now, let's dive into this episode of Barbecue Catering Smarts. Welcome, Kersten. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good. Thanks for being here. Let's start off with an icebreaker question. Give me a number between 1 and 300.
275.
75. What do you love about a long weekend?
There's no phone calls, just the peace, the peace of being able to, I guess, enjoy my family.
Well, you said you had 4 kids, so I'm sure your life, you run on chaos and fumes.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah, they're, I've got 2-year-old twins, a 3 and a 6-year-old. So I would say a
Oh my
long
God.
weekend. It's a different type of chaos. It's either restaurant chaos or kid chaos. So
I don't know which is worse. They're just different.
they are very different. And some days one's better than the other, but chaos all the way.
Yeah, I think I do better with business than personal chaos. I can sort of set myself up to avoid as much of that as possible, but I definitely get both. So let's talk about how you got into this restaurant.
Yeah.
Where did it all start?
Gosh, Big Daddy's was actually born out of the back of a bar, honestly. My parents bought a bar fresh out of the corporate world and wanted to be entrepreneurs. And my dad, Haas, the original owner of the company, started smoking prime rib and ribs out of the back of the bar that they owned. Eventually, it became Big Daddy's Barbecue with a food truck. We were doing food trucks before they were cool. Now they're everywhere. But we were just a trailer and a truck, and we would go around wherever anyone would let us set up, and we would sell our barbecue. And eventually that led into catering, a full service catering for my aunt, and more people asked. And it just kind of snowballed from there. Honestly, the whole business, we look back a lot and we're like, how did we get here? And it all started with, I think I'm just going to cater one wedding. And then here we are 20 years later. I think we're hitting 20 years this year as a company.
So, I mean, you look pretty young. Were you working for the family business when it started?
Yeah. So I was 12 when it started. So obviously I worked at as much as I could outside of going to school, but I mean, I did all the weekend events. When they eventually opened up a brick and mortar, I was the one working the weekends, the evenings. When I went away to college, I came home, I worked my whole break. And then I came home from college about after a year of being away, and that's when we kind of dived into the actual full service aspect of being a restaurant. Before, we were just a little small takeout counter. And so at 19, I learned how to serve, and our first full service restaurant was born. And then I actively built it with my parents for a couple years. Once my mom decided to leave the company, because I'm sure anyone listening, if you're a married couple running a business, it takes its toll. When she left, I ran it with my dad for about 5 years, and then he passed in 2020. And at that time, it was either dive in and make it keep going or close it down, and I just didn't have the heart to close it down. So
Well, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Um, you know, it sounds like, your first job out of college was the family business, right?
Yeah, the kind of ongoing job in, out, and in high school, just always. It was kind of always the ongoing thing.
So, a lot of times people, they'll work for family business in high school like you did growing up, and then they'll go out and they'll go to work for somebody else and learn on somebody else's dime and someone else's experience. I've heard, oh, I went to work for a chain of restaurants. I worked for this chain. I learned and I brought it back to the family business. Um, do you feel that helped or hurt you going straight to work for the family business?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely as an operator now with 2 locations, right? There's definitely days where I'm like, "It would have been nice to maybe experience some other restaurants and just the way that other places function." I think also, though, what sets us apart as a restaurant is that we were built on a foundation that wasn't corporate. We were built as just a family. And so we've had some growing pains between how do we stay kind of that family concept, but also institute kind of rules, regulations, policies, guidelines, and still make it feel like it's somewhere people want to be, but have accountability. So that's been on my own personal growth, something I've had to kind of outsource for. So yeah, I would say in some ways it's hindered me. And in other ways, I think it has allowed me to create a company that is kind of people first. And we see a lot of that reflected in the employees that stay and the customers that come back. So
So it sounds like you probably brought that to the company. Like, your dad ran it for, I guess, 15 years. Is that right? About
yeah,
15 years he was around.
yeah,
Was he a good number? Was he a good numbers guy? Like, did he teach you about numbers, or you hear sort of two stories? Like, people are really good with numbers and they're very good profitable, or yeah, we've been around for 15 years and we think this is a year we're going to be profitable. And I'm thinking, like, how do you pay your bills if you're not like? How does
yeah.
that work, right?
He
So, was he a good numbers guy?
he was okay at numbers. He was a big picture guy. He was really good at seeing the longevity and the future of what it could become. And then my mom was more of like the small day to day, let's kind of reel it back in a little bit. And he was we were good. I would say as a company, we've expanded a couple of times. Obviously with COVID, it kind of killed a lot of businesses. We were lucky that we survived, but it did kill a location we had. Um, he let's just say it this way. There's a running joke and it's called Grigg math, and that was after my father. So, if
Are
that
you
answers
good
the
with
question.
numbers?
I am also okay with numbers, so that's something I have to learn, but as a business, when he passed, I ran it for 3 years with my mom, and then we actually brought in a new business partner who is fantastic at numbers. So,
Okay, so you do have a numbers person.
yes, we've got a numbers guy, and I've learned so much from him. So,
Awesome. Yeah, so that's very fortunate that you found a mentor and a partner that
yes.
can do that, because it doesn't matter. I remember I failed accounting in college twice and I barely passed the third time. I didn't know anything about it, but when I opened my
Yeah.
restaurant, there was a company called Peachtree Accounting, which was one of the first accounting software companies out there. And they had this little primer. It was like a pamphlet, taught you basic accounting principles. And I remember reading that like a kid getting a comic book and, reading it front to back 100 times. And I think money, when you're dealing with your own money, it just made more sense. And when you're talking about this hypothetical factory that has cost of goods and all this stuff that doesn't make sense. But I really became very good at the numbers. I taught myself, and I'd always heard and learned from other people, like, it doesn't matter what you sell, it's what you take home. I've
Mhm.
got a friend who's really good at starting companies and selling and bringing in sales. He's terrible with managing money,
Yeah.
and you can't have one without the other. I mean, obviously you need somebody who's really good with the staff and the people, and it sounds like you've done a really good job of building the culture, but it's got to be a profitable culture.
And that's the
Um
bottom line. Just got to
Yeah.
be profitable.
That's, I mean, otherwise you go get a job for somebody else if it's not profitable and you're not making the money you want to make out of your business, then why kill yourself? Go get a job for the state of Idaho and get 4 weeks vacation and a pension and health insurance and disability and everything, and then just go punch the clock and come home and deal with your 4 kids. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
you know,
I had the option too. I mean, that was when my mom sold the company. That was kind of the weird. I was in this weird headspace, right? Of like, okay, this is it. Like, this is my chance. I can get out. I can go do all these other crazy things. I can use my college degree. I can do all these things. Um, but when it came down to watching, all of the time and effort and the work that I'd already put in to build the company, and then you're talking about handing it over to someone else and hoping and praying that they let it continue and they make sure that the name stays good. Like I couldn't hand it over to someone else, not when it was still so young. Um, and the business partner that ended up buying the company and I have stock in it. We own it together. I'm learning a ton. He's a franchise guy. And so I don't know if we're going to franchise, but he is definitely teaching me what I need to know. Not only make sure that the people are taken care of, but make it profitable. So,
yeah, you definitely have to have good systems to run a business. Otherwise, you're running in chaos,
yes.
right? So if you're going to look back over the 20 years, what y'all do in the beginning to build catering sales, and what are y'all doing today?
Yeah, I would say everything we did moving up to around 2018 was word of mouth. There was very little advertising. We do a couple radio spots, maybe every couple of years. We would do like your hometown value, like coupon packs, but outside of that, it was all word of mouth. So it was a very slow growth. Um, when I finally took over catering and we had someone that was kind of a steady hand to actually like interact with the people, answer the phone calls, answer the emails, respond in a timely manner. That's when things started to, I would say, pick up. But we've kind of, even in just the last 3 or 4 years as a company, our catering has grown exponentially. So I would say what we used to do, which was just word of mouth and showing up and make sure we provided a good product and a quality quality service. Now it's providing all of that and also advertising and competing because everybody does barbecue now. So
So what kind of advertising? Is there anything you're doing that's moving the sales needle? Like advertising wise, marketing wise, selling wise?
yeah. So right now, I would say our biggest return on investment is our EDM. So we do this giant direct mailer coupon. It goes out to every catering event we do. Um, we give out gift certificates to our weddings, to our couples. It's as our
When
thank you to them.
when you say EDM, explain this again. It's
Well,
direct mail.
yeah, the direct mail. So we send out direct mailers about every other month, and we hit new houses within areas surrounding our restaurants. And then it's also the go-to handout. I have catering teams and my catering managers when they're out doing deliveries, they'll stop um, at in the same area. They'll stop at any business they can, introduce themselves, hand out some coupons. And on the coupons, it's got some dine-in specials, and it's also got $50 off of 250. So, I mean, if you're feeding a small group or even a big group, it's a really great way to, hey, for $50 on us, give us a try. Let us cater for your next luncheon, business meeting, wedding, whatever it is. And those have been really good at just giving us a tool to give people name recognition. And then we do see quite a few of them come back as well.
So obviously if you're hitting households, there's very few households that cater compared to businesses.
Hmm.
Are you seeing much catering business come from that?
Yeah,
Or is it more using it to the B2B, cross utilizing that piece of that
it's
that collateral
definitely
piece?
definitely cross utilized, and we'll get it from anywhere. We ended up doing a donation for a high school where one of their boosters was a bigwig at a huge construction company here in town. And direct correlation from that email he sent me basically, thank you for supporting us. And also we need food for 300. So
Nice.
we see a lot of that direct kind of correlation. And then we'll get people that use the coupons and they're just using it in-house, right? And then we train all of our servers that at the end of it, they say, hey, flip that guy over. Here's $50 off your next catering. We'd love for you to give us a chance. So we're kind of repeatedly utilizing that tool to make sure people are understanding all of the options available to them. So we see a lot of cross utilization between in-house dining and catering.
Yeah. Something to test. Are you familiar with Deliver That, a third-party delivery service?
I don't know. That might be brand new in the area. I don't know that we had that here. We have like a first delivery, we have ship day, we've got a lot of kind of third party
Yeah.
deliverers
So
right now, but not that one.
there's somebody that we've worked out a special pricing for our clients on. I mean, they specialize in catering, and what they're doing after hours, like, because the drivers aren't delivering food at 2:00 in the afternoon. Nobody's bringing in food at 2. So they're doing like dessert drops, cookie drops for businesses, and they're charging $13 to go out, bring something sweet to the office too when they want something sweet, and collateral material. And we were talking about something that we can build or we have within our system. And we were talking about offers, because I think offers list is number one. What's going to determine the success of promotion, who you're targeting. But number two is the offer. And everybody wants to discount, right? Like, $50 off $250. Well, that costs you $50, right? And
Yeah.
then if it's my home, it means something to me. Like if I'm going to do my daughter's engagement party, then $50 is $50 I saved. That's great. But if I'm buying food for the office and the boss says, hey, Michael, go bring in barbecue for this meeting, what do I care if they say $50? I don't. I mean, it doesn't affect my life, but I would test out the next time you do it, a $50 gift card. And so what does that $50 gift card cost you? It costs you $15 worth of food. And so in a business environment, that admin who probably doesn't make a ton of money says, oh, wow, I can book them for this company event. It's $1,000 event. I'm going to get a $50 gift card, and I can bring my husband and kids, and we can, get some takeout or do whatever. Right. And now you haven't prostituted your product by discounting it. You're just adding value and say, you spend $250, I'm going to send you a $50 gift card on your first event. And then they're like, wow, that's something to test. I'm a big believer in testing. So you might want to test that offer.
No, that's a great idea. I do like that.
So you had mentioned something, and we're doing some work in this area. You said somebody's answering the phone and talking to the customers. Did you have an issue in the beginning where phone rings, you're busy serving customers, and no one was really there to take catering calls? Was that something that was going on?
Yeah. So when it was basically me and my dad, and then my mom was in there in the very beginning, we were all wearing all the hats, right? So at that point, it's which one of us has the time to answer the phone call at that point. And then I eventually transitioned from, just serving, kind of hanging out in the front of house, to then I was actually learning the catering. That's kind of where that boom came from, because I was available, right? That's what I was there to do at that point, is answer the calls, answer the emails. People just want a response, and you can't make it harder than it should be. Once they call, you just got to answer. And you got to talk to them.
So how do you, you've got 2 stores, right? And then you've got probably a way to, I've been on your website. You can, I guess, put in, I think, a request for food, or you can put an inquiry about a full service event. Who's answering the phones? Like if I was going to call right now, who's answering the phone? Do you have people in an office and their whole job is to answer catering calls? It's, you have multiple lines. How are y'all dealing with?
Yeah, we've got a catering manager at both locations. And then outside of that, I've got a couple of kind of staff that have worked with us for a really long time that have kind of gotten the spiel down, as far as if it's 50 people or less, they can typically walk them through it and get something put together. If it's more than 50, or it's not straightforward, then that gets forwarded on to the catering person. And they're either typically already in-house, or it's a message that's taken and we get back to them within 24 hours. What I like to do, though, our process is you get as much information as possible. You get their email and you get a baseline quote sent. At the very least, you have something trackable and you have something to come back to.
So
That's kind of the first
if
thing.
I called how many lines do you have in your store? So if I call and I'm talking to somebody and two other people call, are they getting a busy signal? What's going on?
No, we've got 3 lines at both locations.
Good for you. When I opened up my place, I called a lot of competitors and I found out what they were doing wrong. And we have 3 lines. So usually somebody at the drive-through bagging to-go orders and drive-through orders, somebody at the hostess stand, and we had an office manager who was taking catering calls. So the odds of missing a call with 3 lines is pretty slim. So kudos to you. I think a lot of people don't do that, and they underestimate how much money they're losing by not picking up the phone, getting contact information, getting back to them in a timely manner. Even if, like you said, hey, I can't help you with this 1,000-person event, but Susie can. She's on the line with another customer. She'll call you back. At least I know I've been acknowledged and somebody's going to call me back, and not just end up like, you know,
Waiting
feeling like,
in the
okay,
void.
well, either waiting or just going someplace else because, there's no one to talk to. So,
Yeah, and I think
um,
people it's you want it done now, right? Like, everyone's working through their to-do list, and so the less complicated it is, the faster you get the booking.
right,
I mean, and it's our system's not perfect. There's definitely things that, between 2 locations, we're having some growing pains on what that communication looks like, but for the most part, we we are very responsive, and we've kinda set in place that if a catering customer needs to be called back within 24 to 48 hours. If they're not, we're missing it. And if they are
right,
staying after that, then they just either love us and they've used us before, or they're really dead set on doing it. But if you miss that 48-hour mark, they've already found someone else. So,
for sure. Um, do you keep a database of your catering customers?
yeah, yeah. So we actually integrated all of our catering through Toast, about a year and a half ago. It's okay. It's it's a it's a module that is a work in progress. So I'm definitely looking at other options. We've been on Easy Cater now for about 6 years. That's also a module that's, it's getting better. I'm sorry to say I haven't been on Caters in yet. But I will tell you, I'm one bad day away from looking at other options because it's almost funny. You look at all these little databases and they all have something different than the other, but they all also lack something that is, like, almost integral to
You're,
the process.
you're, I wish you could crawl into my brain for an hour and see all the things in my head. And there's just not enough hours in the day to produce what you want to produce. It can't be
Yeah,
done quick enough. And, we're headed with AI, and we're trying to do things with AI, phone receptionists, and tie it into the software,
yeah,
and all sorts of, I don't know if you're familiar with AI agents. Do you know what those
mhm,
are?
yeah,
Yeah, so that's something we have on the drawing board for next year. Once we get some CRM tools built out, is basically you have, these collection of catering employees at your fingertips, and you could ask it any question or ask it to do a lot of different things for you. And, like, for people listening, fill out a form on your website, it comes in, and then the catering agent can pre-produce the proposal and just says, "Hey, Kirsten, review this proposal before I send it out." And then you just
yeah,
give it a once over and then you hit send. And then you're not sitting there trying to create something from scratch. The agent's doing that. Or,
yeah,
which customers do I need to contact today? The rule might be, hey, call anybody who had an order in 45 days or 90 days, but everybody doesn't order on the same cadence, right? If you have an admin orders weekly, you might want to call her when she hadn't ordered in 2 weeks. And then you might have somebody who orders an event once a year, and you might want to preempt that and call them before they rebook the event, to rebook the event and not wait to miss that event, because then you're another year behind. So you can't put everybody in a perfect box. Now, for things like loyalty, yeah, you spend this much, you earn this much. That's simple. Like, it's your birthday and I want to send you something on your birthday. Well, I don't have to worry. Everybody's birthday is their birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm going to send you something on your birthday. It doesn't take AI maybe to automate it, but it doesn't take AI to figure out, okay, well, your birthday is different and I've got to figure out your lunar Mayan calendar birthday because you celebrate a different calendar.
What
I mean,
phase are we in?
it's pretty cut and dry. Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. What do you see as the biggest challenges y'all are having now, whether it's sales, operations,
Oof.
production, whatever? What do you see as your biggest
Say,
challenges?
for us right now, I wouldn't even say it's so much. The competition is heavy. I would say for us right now, it's being more responsive than ever, and people's perceived value of what they should be getting for the price that they're paying. Especially in this market with the prices the way they are and the way the meat fluctuates. And I would say our biggest hiccup right now is still, obviously, the goal is to provide a quality product. And then it's towing that fine line between, you can't be significantly more expensive than your competitors, right? Because anyone can make pulled pork. But
Yeah,
it's the perceived value
I'm
of what
gonna.
we're providing. So it's we're having like a weird transition with our customer base right now of, well, I'm gonna do this, this, and this by myself. And I'm like, okay, well, do you have this, this, and this to facilitate that and execute it in a way that's gonna make your product hold? And
Yeah,
9 times out of 10, they're like, no, but we'll figure it out. And I'm like, okay, great.
but I would challenge you: is that really your customer?
No, and that's
Because
where that's the hard line
yeah,
too, right?
and sometimes I remember when I was selling catering, I said, "Hey, you need, if you're really shopping on price, I'm going to tell you who to go to." And this is what makes us different. We cook our shoulders for 22 hours. We don't get as much meat out of a shoulder, but it falls apart, melts like butter in your mouth. This other product is tougher and they're slicing it and it's a different flavor profile. And you might not have the, usually there's enough at the high end of the market. There's not a shortage of people who pay for quality and understand quality, right? Like, you'd have to be living under a stone to not know everything has gone through the roof. You go buy ground beef, it costs what a ribeye used to cost, right? And, you go out to dinner, you're going to pay a lot of money for certain things. And brisket is as an example, is a very expensive meat to purchase and cook right. And you end up with very little product. And the people you want are the people who recognize the quality. But I think a problem a lot of operators fall under is they have an unrealistic sense of self. You've probably had friends, that think they're prettier than they are. And you're like, I don't have the heart to tell you, you're not that pretty.
Yeah,
But no one's going to tell you that, right?
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, your barbecue's good, but it's not like premium pricing good, right? It's sort of like the analogy I've always used is hamburgers, right? Is your hamburger a McDonald's hamburger, which is at the bottom of the quality scale? Is it an Outback burger or what Outback used to be, mid-scale? Or is it like going to Ruth Chris or Morton Steakhouse and getting a prime, high-end steakhouse burger? Where do you fall? But you have to be brutally honest with yourself. You're not going to, if you delude yourself into thinking you're a prime steakhouse hamburger, but you're really serving a cheap product, you're
yeah,
deluding yourself that you can get those prices. And so you have to be, and it's also service level, right? You can't show up with the best food and you just slap it on the table and it doesn't look good and your staff is slovenly and they smell like smoke. So it's the whole value proposition you bring to the table dictates where you are. I'd rather be on the high end and turn people away because those people aren't going to be happy anyway. They're going to complain that their beans turned out bad, even though you told them, let us handle it, right?
yeah. Oh,
They're never going to
absolutely.
be happy. Or, hey, we ran out. Well, we told you needed more, but you were on a budget
Yeah,
and you didn't want to get more. So, and you hate to give up that. As an operator, you hate to lose any sale.
yeah,
But sometimes one of my mentors said the most important thing you need to learn is what to say no to. What to say no to.
yeah.
Sorry, my dog is agreeing with me.
Yeah, and I would say that is something that we have. I think that's kind of weird, that fine line, right? Because I know what we're serving as a quality product, and I know that the service we're providing is far and above kind of what the other caterers around us in this little niche market are doing. Um, and so that's where you're right. There are times where you say, you know what, I can't help you. And
Yeah.
let me point you in the direction of someone who can.
And, another way to frame it is, what do you want me to take away? This is what we provide at this premium level.
Yeah.
If you want me to lower the price, what do you want to get rid of? So one of the things that we used to do is offer all you can eat. And we
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed it. If we ran out of food, we give them their money back and a 20% credit. And we know most good caterers aren't running out of food anyway. So you might as well guarantee it and say, okay, well, I can take this off and get you a set amount of food, but I can't guarantee you're not going to run out of food. You're paying for that. Is that important to you or not? Or if we change proteins, or we do, if we send one person out to replenish a self-service buffet and you don't have the fancy table scape and all that, where, this is where I can save you money, but you can't have it all.
Right. Yeah. So
So
it's interesting you bring that up, because I think what you were talking about with AI and having kind of where they can be that kind of front man. I love AI. And I think what I've kind of pushed back on a little bit is like it takes out the personal side of it to get to, like, it takes out that conversation, right? Of like, what do you actually need? What are you actually coming to me for? So I'm very interested to see how AI kind of takes over that role, but also how do we keep it personal? 'Cause in the day, while not all transactions are personal, a lot of what we experience right now, especially with weddings, and we do a lot of funerals, it is personal. So, little segue from there, but
I think I look at AI as a tool.
Mhm.
Like, we could go, we could go to Home Depot and buy the finest tools for your house, right? All the saws and the chisels and the this and the that. It doesn't mean you can create a great piece of furniture, right? You have to know how to use the tools. So
Right.
AI, like, we're using AI in selling, right? So there's a piece of software that bolts into our CRM, not our personal one, but we use HubSpot as a software company because it's made for, we're not using catering CRM for a software company. And it records all the phone calls from Zoom, and it takes all the emails. And so it builds a persona of the person and knows. So if I had to send you a communication, I understand what's important to you. I understand your hot buttons, and I can communicate more effectively to you because it's giving me insight, right? Or if we talked a year ago, I can say, hey, when I talked to Kirsten a year ago, what was important? And I can say, hey, Kirsten, a year ago, you were worried about production and food costing and answering the phones. Is that still important to you? And you're going to go, no, well, this is important to me now. And then, it's just a tool. If you're an idiot with a great tool, you're still a freaking idiot. Good tools
Yeah.
make smart people just better at what they do. Like, everything I've done with technology in my life, it's just made me better and quicker. Like, AI isn't running my business. It's just giving me what I need quicker to make better decisions. But I still have to evaluate that and say, is this valid? Is this where I want to go? Or do I say, no, that's not where I want? How about this? It's just a tool, and you're either really good at using the tools and being, it's like you're going to have to be a master craftsman with AI, because AI is not going to run your world for
No, that is a very good point. Thank you.
you. Yeah. For whatever it's worth, the price of admission, I guess.
No, I mean, AI is the future. So figuring out how to use it to the best of
Yeah.
your ability is kind of mandatory at this
Yeah. I
point.
mean, I think, you'll have robots, so you don't have to worry about the pit man spending the night or whatever you do, or making coleslaw or putting stuff in the oven. There will be some basic things. I wouldn't want a robot out there serving an event for sure, but I think there'll be some things like, I don't know if you've ever driven a Tesla.
No, I have not driven a Tesla.
Probably. So my fiance and I are getting a Tesla because of the full self-driving mode. Like to
Yeah.
literally put it in where you want to go and not have to touch a thing and relax. That's huge. And that's the power of AI, right? It's like I don't have to take a 4-hour road trip and be exhausted. I can show up rested and my brain isn't on overdrive and you know and they say in a year or two, it'll take you to the airport, drive itself back to your house and pick you back up at the airport. Or if your in-laws are coming in town and you don't want to pick them up from the airport, you send your Tesla to get them and it brings them back. And if you think about the aging population, as your mom gets older, mom doesn't really need to be driving, but we don't want to take her away her car. Let's get her a Tesla. It'll take her to church. It'll take her to the doctor. She just has to be able to punch in where she's going.
Yeah.
And it'll do the heavy lifting. So it's definitely a tool that's going to help us and it's going to put some people out of work, but I think we'll figure out new ways to be productive. And there's fewer people in the workforce. It's like besides you and your husband, there's not a lot of people having 4 kids. So, but so, we're not replenishing ourselves as a population.
Yeah.
I think the United
Absolutely.
States does have an advantage because of immigration. But, the world isn't procreating the way it was. So maybe AI is going to help us stay going because you're not going to have people to do some of these jobs. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, we're in for an interesting ride.
It's
for sure.
Yeah. The next few generations are definitely going to be something we've never seen before. So I'm terrified and excited.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you and your husband have had this conversation. Like, have you talked about should we send our kids to regular school? Should we send them to college? Or should we be looking at something totally different? Because what might have been good 20 years ago, is that an outdated model? I don't know, but it's definitely a conversation I would be having.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, my husband's a tradesman, so he actually just is finishing up his journeyman. Um and I went to college, I got a full degree, and I'm over here running a restaurant. So at the end of the day, I think times are changing. I look at my kids now and I'm like, you can kind of just be whatever you want, but I hope they'd be realistic at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, a 4-year college degree doesn't really do you anything these days unless it's incredibly specific, other than show someone that you
Yeah.
know how to make debt.
Yeah. I mean, really, you need to learn critical thinking.
Yeah.
That's the most valuable. And, being understand interacting with people, What kind of trade is your husband in, by the way?
He's an electrician.
Okay. Well, he's got plenty of work with all these AI data centers and electrical grid stuff.
Yeah.
And it'll be a long time before Elon has a electrician robot. So he's got a lot of runway.
Yeah.
I would probably tell my kids, go into the trades learn business,
Mhm.
then go into the trades so you understand the trade, and then mix the two and start a company that you can make money off other electricians and, and you'll make more money than 95% of college graduates for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. It's
For sure.
he looked at it for a long time and he was like, I could go back to college because he's also a vet. And he was like, I could go use my GI Bill. He's like, but what do I want to do with it? So he ultimately decided on trades work. And it's one of the
That's cool.
it is an industry that a lot of the knowledge is retiring. And so you have this really large age disparity between people that know what's going on and they're retiring in 10 years. And then you've got all these young people that don't have any clues. So
a ton of opportunity. Okay. So I need to say 2 things. First of all, thank your husband for his service to this country. I'm definitely very humbled by people who serve. But when you said, my husband was a vet and became an electrician, I'm like, why would you go to school to be a vet and then decide to be an electrician? Did you get allergic to dogs?
Right.
So, okay.
No, that's fine. Yeah, he was military.
You can tell him that funny one at the dinner table tonight.
I will.
Okay, we're sort of getting to the end of our time together. Is there anything you want to share with people listening, like anything, success principles, anything about their catering business to help them out? Any good tips in closing?
Yeah, I would say we kind of touched on it a little bit, but be responsive. Don't don't be afraid of the tools that you're being given. I think that's probably like the all-encompassing takeaway from this call specifically. I see a lot of companies and restaurants and even catering businesses that they kind of get stuck in their ways. And really the only way you're going to grow in this economy and in this business is being able to pivot and being able to absorb kind of the changes that are coming in and figure out how to utilize them to your best ability. I would say as a company, that's how we have thrived long term, is that we take pivoting very seriously and we adjust. And I think you have to be willing to do that. In addition to what you were saying, understand the quality and the service you're providing, but also don't be afraid to I don't think anyone that does this is afraid to get their hands dirty, but there's also something about, even if it's inconvenient for you in the beginning, but it's going to grow your business, you got to be willing to do those things. You got to be willing to make it less hard for everyone else, even if it makes it harder for you at the beginning. So I would
Yeah.
just say,
Well,
just be ready. Just be ready
yeah,
for it to
I
come
agree
with
with that. But as you grow, you understand what those are, and then you can outsource them, and you have the funds to hire someone to do those things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's ultimately, when I started all my companies, I was knee deep in everything. And as you grow the sales and profits, it's like, okay, this is what I do really well, and I want to focus on this. I don't want to focus on these things. There's people who do it better.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let them do this, and I'm going to focus on what I do well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I appreciate it, Kersten. It was good talking to you, and I hope you have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Barbecue Catering Smarts, where we bring you the best ideas, stories, and strategies from across the barbecue catering industry. We hope today's episode sparked new insights to help you refine your systems, elevate your customer experience, and grow your catering profits. For more episodes and insights, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us next time.